I'm going to entitle this video Why Hypocrisy is Good, or In Defense of Hypocrisy, which is a sad title to have to write because, of course, we would all like to live up to our ideals. But unfortunately, no one is perfect, or if you're not a god, then you're not perfect by definition. And so we all fall short of our ideals. Basically, the only alternative to hypocrisy is to lie, to have no ideals or to have false ideals. And this applies to every area of life. So, for instance, the most visible, common, frequent sin of people is gluttony, right? It's being obese. So, people are obese, and sometimes what they do is they say, it is okay that I am obese. It is okay that I am fat. It is okay that I eat badly, because all bodies are beautiful. So they have an ideal of equality, that all bodies are beautiful, and in their mind they live up to this. In their mind, the ideal is self-acceptance, self-love, that you should love yourself at whatever size you are. However you look, however you appear, whatever your strength, your stamina, your physical body, you're beautiful at any size. So your whole life's journey is a journey towards self-acceptance, self-love, and a lack of self-criticism. You should just embrace yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, never criticize, never try to improve yourself, never see the imperfections and try to reach for the perfections. No, you're perfect as you are. It's self-deification. It is solipsistic, and it is evil. And people who have this ignorant mindset of, I just have to love myself, accept myself, they're never going to achieve anything in life. People who are successful are not successful because they said, I'm good enough as I am. They said, no, I need to be better. The self-critical, you could even say masochistic attitude that successful people have is necessary in order to advance, to progress. This has real consequences in life. In sexual selection, if you are the man who is always driven towards success in whatever cultural context we're talking about, you will be the one who bears the most children for the next generation, theoretically. Now, we could come up with models where it doesn't happen, but just in general, there are consequences of life and death for these attitudes. So people who say, oh, I'm beautiful at any size, I'm perfect the way I am, this is a philosophy of death. You are selecting yourself out of the gene pool by having this idea that I am beautiful at any size, and you can take any scenario with this. So if I had to choose between a fat person who says I'm beautiful at any size and a fat person who says, look, I have bad genes, I have a bad diet, I'm not doing it right, I could improve, I should improve, I will improve, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to start exercising, maybe I'm going to get gastric bypass surgery, whatever. Whatever it is, I prefer the fat hypocrite over the fat self-accepting person. I prefer the fat person who says, I'm sinning, I'm a sinner, I'm doing it wrong, I need to change, I'm trying to change, I'm talking about change. And if someone asks me, hey, you're fat, is that okay? I'm going to say, no, it's not okay. Here's why we all need to strive to be healthy. And you can apply this to any moral issue. You can apply it to sexuality. You can apply it to honesty. How honest are you? Of course we should be honest. Are we all honest? Well, the hypocrite is going to say, no, I'm not an honest person, but we should strive to be more honest. We should strive to be more truthful, even though individually we're imperfect. We all tell little lies occasionally, whatever. Sometimes we tell very big lies. I am always going to prefer the hypocrite over the person who says, no, it's okay to lie. No, it's okay to be fat. It's okay to murder. It's okay to steal. Someone who is morally consistent, someone who is totally morally consistent, they're either Christ, meaning they're perfect because they perfectly follow their ideals, or they're the devil because they're evil and they revel in their evilness. They revel in their imperfection. They revel in the fact that, haha, yes, I'm fat and I murder and I steal and I kill and I lie. And I do all these things and it's okay because in my moral system, this person would be a Satanist or something and they would love hedonism and they would love solipsism and they would love selfishness. I prefer the hypocrite. I prefer the person who says, yes, I'm flawed, yes, I'm imperfect, I do it wrong, but there is an ideal that I'm trying to strive for, that other people should strive for, that we should all go for, And the fact that I'm a hypocrite on this issue doesn't make it any less true. So repeating this and having a moral standard and enforcing that moral standard and joining in with it doesn't mean as a hypocrite that you're necessarily being dishonest. So when I go out and I promote a certain morality, I say we should be monogamous traditionalists, or we should live in ethnic homogeneity, or we should have this or that, we should have law and order, we should not cheat and lie and steal, we should be honest with one another. When I set up these moral ideals and I put them out there, and then you can inspect my own private, and we can all inspect our own private lives, and we can see where we've failed and we've done things wrong. But I say at the end of the day, it's better to set up an ideal of morality and to promote that ideal, to spread it, to agree on it. And even if you don't live up to the practice, even if you fail in the execution, it's better to have that ideal, to put it out there, at least in the spoken word, and to fail it in the actions, than to say, oh, I don't want to be a hypocrite, so because I do X sin, I do this sin, I'm therefore going to endorse it. I'm not going to call it a sin anymore. Oh, I'm fat. Well, to be consistent, to not be a hypocrite, I have to embrace my fatness. I prefer the fat person who says, you know what, being fat isn't cool. You know, I prefer the degenerate who says, yes, I am degenerate in my actions because I have a weak will. I'm not able to overcome all my basic lusts and my emotionalism. I'm not able to put the higher ideals above that at all times. And so, yes, I engage in these bad behaviors and I lie and I do these bad things. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't do those bad things. So I think speaking the law in, like Moses, he presents the laws and at a time when all the people are misbehaving. So I think this is, well, I mean, technically Moses is supposed to be morally pure, but they rebuke him for having an Ethiopian wife. So, I mean, how does this work? A dirty prophet? Do you have to be pure to be a prophet? Are we all, some degree, I mean, the prophet is an ideal, right? And we're all trying to live up to that. We're trying to speak truth to power. And so when we're in the process of doing that, do we wait until we are perfect Christ-like beings ourselves who just have no personal flaws? I think that's kind of unrealistic. I mean, there is an element of humility where you come and you say, I'm coming here and I'm telling you how things should be. And when I do that, I'm not doing it with the spirit of I'm better than you. I'm doing it with the spirit that this ideal is something we should all strive toward. And we're all in different paths toward that ideal. But let's go toward that. Let's not go toward hedonism. Let's not go toward self-satisfaction. Let's not go toward emotionalism. Let's not just go toward satisfying our basic emotions, fleeing from pain and seeking out contentment and comfort. But let's go toward these ideals. And you might be, and it's like the caste system, you might be really good at hitting the ideals and with some slight imperfections, or you might just be starting at the most basic, lowest level of you're terrible at fulfilling the ideals, but you're working on it. You're trying to move up that series of reincarnations to get there someday. So having that kind of directional rather than are you there already? Having the kind of like, are you going in the direction of goodness or are you on the complete wrong path? Are you actually going in the direction of hedonism and this self-acceptance, self-love, which sounds good on the surface, but really is perverse and it's selfish. And so, yeah, I'm going to embrace the hypocrite. I'm going to say that I'm a hypocrite. I'm going to say that to some extent we're all hypocrites and we all make compromises. It's just a matter of degree. Now, of course, when we talk about leaders, when we talk about people we want to have speak on behalf of ourselves, people that we look up to, many times throughout history you have people who were saying one thing in public and doing another thing in private. And it's a sad and tragic fact that people will look up to a leader and then that leader will disappoint them in a number of ways. To some extent, this is unavoidable. I mean, you have people who in public said that they were married to the nation and then in private they had a mistress who they married before they died. So would that have been disappointing? In what context? Was it a little lie? Was it a big lie? Was it excusable? And we can have honesty as an ideal and then see the imperfections of the execution. So it's just something to keep in mind, the humility of humanity, the fact that we don't live up to our ideals, the idea that we should have our ideals first and humanity should follow, that we should be idealists and not humanists. We should construct our ideals first in accordance with the truth and perfection, infinitude, eternity, and we should try to bring humanity up toward that, never reaching it, but always striving toward it. We should not take humanity, look at it, look at the phenomenology of humanity, look at where humanity is, and then say our ideals should exactly interlock with humanity so that basically we do not have to make any accommodations whatsoever. And that is the self-love movement. That is this self-acceptance movement. It's saying accept yourself as you are. It's humanism. It is taking humanity as a phenomenon and trying to make that into an ideal. Oh, you're trans, you're a woman, you're a man, whatever you are, just accept yourself, love yourself as you are, never try to change, never live up to any ideal, never view anything as higher than yourself. You are God, you are perfect in yourself. That's when I hate when people say, you're perfect just the way you are. That's a very humanist thing to say. Now, on some emotional level, when we see divinity in other people, we can see a spark of perfection in them. We can see the way that perfection reveals itself within individual human personalities. But then to elevate that to the level of a moral system, where now we talk about fat shaming, slut shaming, the inability to shame. Of course, shaming still exists, but it's intolerant shaming. Oh, you're a bigot, bigot shaming, racist shaming. We don't have these words, and they even sound strange to say because of the moral paradigm is so tight. Some people say it's political correctness, but I say it's above politics. It's moral correctness. The moral system we have now is perverse. The moral system we have now tells broken, weak people that they are perfect as the underdog, and it tells strong, great people, people who have merit, that they are evil for instance, taking pride in their merit, for being happy with who they are, and for even the act of striving to be better than oneself. The man who is effeminate, who strives to become more masculine, is shamed. Oh, he's a fragile, toxic masculinity. So there's this shaming of masculinity, and there's this always acceptance of femininity. However feminine you want to be, that's always acceptable. Except if you're a woman and you want to be a traditional wife, then that kind of femininity is shamed. Oh, she's a traditional wife, she must be on Xanax. She's so fake and dolled up and whatever, they have, and of course there's problems with the 1950s housewife. I'm not saying that there wasn't something fake in the 1950s. It was a cargo cult of monogamy where the true spiritual roots of monogamy were not present anymore. That spirit had been extinguished to a large degree, and you had people who were just pretending to be monogamous, people who were pretending to have a traditional family, when actually psychologically the cultural sphere was embracing pornography, embracing polyamory, embracing the breakdown of the nuclear family in the 1950s. And that's what you don't see. And it was a long process over time that started at the elite intellectual level, it started at the occult, esoteric level, and then it became exoteric. And then it became mass media and mass culture. But first it started as a germ of the idea in the aristocracy, and then it filtered down to the rest of the people. It was a long process over time. So basically, be a hypocrite, have ideals that are higher than yourself. You're going to fail those ideals on a daily basis as a necessary consequence of your fallen human nature. Still have the ideals. Don't be comfortable being a hypocrite, but be humble about being a hypocrite. Admit that you are what you are, and that everyone is pretty much that way to some degree or another. And you're always striving, you're always working. Do not give in to the humanist temptation of love who you are, accept who you are, as you are, you're perfect as you are. This self-deification, it is the destruction of aesthetics, it is the destruction of hierarchy, it is the destruction of progress and success and evolution and life itself. It's a death cult. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.